Ain't you sick of giving me your money?
Oh, ish. Oh. I know he didn't do it, baby.
Hold on a second. Whoa. Where you going?
No, I'm about to go make these drop balls.
Yo, what's up, people? This is Bradley DLO Thomas. Welcome to the BLK podcast. I am a marketing professional by day in the biotechnology industry and an MC and a producer by passion. I'm going to pass the mic.
Hey, what's good? It's your girl, Opal Elisa. I am a director of multicultural business strategy and marketing for a large financial firm by day. By passion, I am a MC, poet, spoken word artist, author, all of the above. I'll pass the mic.
What's going on? It's your boy Corey Whitmore. I wish I could be an MC and a poet sometimes, but I'm trapped in this Media 22, Studio 22, Radio 22 world. But soon I'll get back to it.
Man, we always see you on the mic. What you talking about, man?
You rock more shows than
Corey does everything. He's an amazing person. He's very humble. But today we have a very special guest. I first came across her actually via Facebook, via my wife, who was talking about how inspirational she was. Told her that we need to talk to her about investing in real estate, which I currently am doing. And all the listeners out there, after you hear her talk and tell her story, you're probably going to want to do the same thing. Like we always do with this podcast, we encourage you to grab a pen and some paper to take some notes, because you may not remember all the jewels that she's about to share with you, because she has so many different endeavors that she's doing, whether it be in real estate. We were talking earlier, there's some other things that she's doing that she's going to get into, being an instructor, courses, private lending, and not just here in the state of Wisconsin, Illinois, Georgia, Florida, and probably internationally soon. So without further ado, I want to say give a big what's up to Tamario Moutry. Thank you for coming to the show.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. I'm glad that you gave me this opportunity to set the stage and have a platform to talk to people. And I'm very excited about being here. And I am ready to drop some gems to the public.
Okay, cool. Well, let's get into it. We appreciate, we know you busy too. So let's get right into it. I'm very interested in your journey on what kind of sparked you to get into real estate. And did you have a 9-to-5 life before that? And just kind of tell us about your journey.
So here is the thing. I actually came from the teaching arena. I went to a predominantly Black college called Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And my undergrad was elementary education. So I was a teacher for Milwaukee Public Schools for about 9 years. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I actually was having problems with my son. My son was kind of naughty in school. And I kept having issues with telephone calls being made while I was teaching the class. And I had those kids under control, but didn't have my own under control. And people will always say, the family is first. Right. So I prayed. I had to pray to God for him to lead me into a different direction in order for me to step out on faith to leave that job so that I can go and see about my son, because obviously my work hours were the same as his. Yep. So that is one of the reasons why I was looking for something to be flexible and to have some flexibility so that I could actually have a more flexible schedule so I could see what was going on with my son. And again, you'll hear me being real throughout this whole podcast. I'm not going to hold anything back, but I had an older brother who had gone to prison, and everything that he came back to me with, he would kind of tell me about what they were talking about. And he said that a lot of the guys in prison kept talking about that, we should all get into real estate. And I kind of just took the ball and ran with it. How I started off was, I said, if I'm going to leave teaching, I need to know what I need to do with myself before I leave. And I'm not going to be a fool by leaving my job and not being prepared. So what I did is I started buying rental properties. And when I started doing that, when I got comfortable enough to replace my teaching income is when I finally left the profession. How did I get started? How did I get the money? How did this all come together? Well, for starters, I actually, I bought my first house in 1999. I did not have great credit at the time. I mean, I was even scammed by somebody who was calling themselves fixing my credit. And, people, Milwaukee is too small. You can't play with people.
Yeah.
Like that.
Right.
So my husband ended up knowing who the guy was and ended up having my cousin involved, and he got a little cut and the other guy got a cut. But my husband ended up getting the majority of my money back. So after that, I became an expert on fixing credit myself. Which we'll talk about later on, because that's one of the Facebook groups that I have. And I made sure that I researched and understood everything I needed to do and learn so that I could get myself together after all of that. That was after I bought the house. Okay. But the market had become really strong. And I didn't know what a refinance was at the time. And a lot of us still don't understand what the word refinance means. But I was able to refinance at least twice within maybe within like a year. And I pulled over between $32,000 and $60,000 out of my primary residence. And that's how I got all of the down payment money to start buying rental properties. So I became a real estate investor first. Before anything else that I'm doing right now, I became a real estate investor first. And I replaced my teaching income by doing that.
Nice.
Thank you.
Cool.
Very cool. Very cool. So when you're, I love that you're sharing that stuff, and I love that you come from teaching, because I think a little bit later we're going to get into some of the offerings that you're offering through your different Facebook groups and kind of sharing the knowledge that you have. But being able to be a teacher in MPS, okay, I got a lot of friends that went through MPS. That's no easy feat, right? And then being able to shift careers like that while being a mom, which is also a full-time job. Let's be real. What's your philosophy for success? Do you have like a motto or a mantra or something that keeps you going as your philosophy?
I have to be totally honest with you. My motto for all of this is simply just never wanting to work a 9 to 5 every day. My motto was always looking at the fact that I wanted to be able to own my own time. I didn't want to stay in a position where someone was able to tell me when I could use the restroom, take a break on my job, or decide that I want to go on a vacation. If I wanted to lay down and take a nap and I'm not feeling well during the day and I'm working from home, that's what I wanted to do. If I needed to go see about what my son is doing at school, and I wasn't able to do those things when I was tied down to a 9 to 5, which put me in the mindset that I need to do multiple income streams so that I could be comfortable enough to be able to be on my own and stay on my own. There's a lot of real estate professionals out there that don't have that part together yet. They know that they want to be a real estate professional, but they don't have enough outlets and enough income streams to help keep them going. I have about 20 plus income streams that are real estate related. And I was setting myself up to win so that I would not be a failure at this, because I said, look, I'm going to either make this work or I'm going to make this work. There was no I have to make this work. Right. And I can't, listen, I'm an Aries. I can't stand to be told what to do. I like to tell other people what to do. Right. So, but at the same time, I am a teacher by trade. I have a real estate instructor's license in the state of Wisconsin. So I do offer real estate courses for potential realtors and for people who want to become a realtor. That's the course that they take prior to them sitting for the state exam. So I did carry my education over to the real estate arena. I thought I wanted to be a principal, but that didn't happen because I went to grad school and I took 18 credits toward my master's degree. And then I decided, nope, I got to go.
Okay.
So,
Will Smith had said in an interview that somebody asked him, well, what was the backup plan? And, what was the plan B? And he responded, there is no plan B because plan B distracts from plan A.
Thanks.
And so I appreciate you saying that. And it connects and makes me think of that that's enough to be able to really get people to focus and push through a lot of the challenges that come because, like you said, hey, it's got to work. I ain't gotta
this is it. This is it. I was not walking backwards. I could only walk forward, and I didn't care whatever obstacles stood in my way. I just pushed through, and that's it.
So, I always love to listen to the full journey and then pick at certain pieces that I would love to pull out for the audience. And so you're at MPS. What was the thing that said, okay, yeah, I'm not going to do the teaching thing, but real estate is the option versus like you said, possibly going to be a principal, possibly getting into some other industry. What attracted you, I guess, or what sparked that interest into real estate to say, hey, this is the path that I'm just going to kind of ride or die with?
I told you already, my brother, he said, you need to get into real estate. Everybody keeps saying that's where all the money is. But I didn't know what to do or how to get started. But I kept listening to the radio and they kept talking about a refinance. And after that, I started educating myself. People, they perish from a lack of knowledge. Right. The problem when I talk about lack of knowledge is that we don't do enough reading and research. I'll give you a perfect example, and it is off topic a little bit. But I happened to be on Facebook yesterday, and I saw where they started showing some weight loss stuff, some kind of oil that they were using for weight loss.
Okay.
And people were in there giving it rave reviews, talking about how it worked, and people were showing, their results after they had used the oil. Real people, it wasn't made up. And I said, well, wow, that itty bitty bottle like this cost $50. I said, no, these people are crazy. So I hopped online and I started typing in the name of that stuff. I said, I'm interested in this, but nobody want to pay $50 for that itty bitty bottle. But people were actually paying for it. And I got right on Amazon, right on some other little websites where they were selling like 9 bottles for like $8. And people were in that. They were right on that advertisement. And they were selling it for $50 per bottle. This is a real story. This happened like yesterday.
Right.
So what I'm saying, and I know I went off topic a little bit, but at the same time, I want everybody to garner this and understand that just because somebody presents something to you does not mean you need to stop there. You need to seek your own knowledge, do your own research, do your own due diligence so that you can follow up to make sure you're getting not only the best deal, but a better opportunity for yourself. And because I was always one that always was never afraid to seek out more knowledge and to research and to just keep reading and keep educating myself. I didn't have any mentors. There's more mentors than a little bit right now. And now I'm a mentor to people, but I didn't have that. I was all self-taught.
Yep.
And I said, I'm just not going to give up. But I listened to my brother tell me to do it multiple times. And I went ahead and did it. I got with me a loan officer. After the refinance, I started talking to her about what do I need to do to start becoming a landlord and how much money I needed to put down. And I started learning about it. So I became the real estate investor first.
Right.
And then after that, all this stuff kind of trickled down. And I said, well, this loan officer really isn't doing a good job. And I noticed that she's making her own schedule. Every time I look up, she's this place and she's that place. And I'm like, how do I get to do what you do? You a loan officer, right? Why don't you give me the information so I can learn how to do what you do? She gave me the information. I didn't end up going with her company. But again, here I am again. I'm back on the internet and I'm typing. I'm finding out information on how to become a loan officer. And that was my next gig. I became a loan officer. A year later, I became a mortgage broker. I opened my own mortgage company. I came from that side first. Right. So after I was the teacher, I was the investor. I became a loan officer. I became a mortgage broker within a year's time. I have never seen anybody in my life that I knew that would come from making $40,000 a year to $50,000 a month. And you guys, this was about 15 years ago.
Wow.
So I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. And that's all water under the bridge, because I'm doing way more now than what I was doing back then. And then the market crash came. And it never really hurt me. You want me to tell you why it never really hurt? Because I was never used to making that kind of money. It didn't hurt as bad when that market crash came. And I liquidated people. I liquidated. I started all the way over from scratch. 50, listen to this, 50 doors of real estate I had when the market crashed. I liquidated every single one of them. I went on hiatus for 10 years. One of the reasons why I'm sharing this with you guys is because I want you to understand that you might fall, but you can get back up again. But in some instances, it's not about really falling. You know what it's about? It's about knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them. And at that time, it was time to fold them, because you cannot keep yourself in bad investments.
That's a gem right there. That's a gem. I like that right there.
You cannot you have to know when to not throw good money after bad. You have to know when to cut things off. And at that point in time, when I saw all the values dropping, and I was a little stubborn at first, someone told me to let everything go, and I was hard-headed, and I was one of the ones that was a no limit soldier. I hung on for as long as I could. Y'all, I hung on. Y'all don't understand. It was like holding on for my life, trying to hold on. You want to know why though? Because I had perfected my credit. I had perfected my credit at the time, right when the market crashed. And my friend said, Tamario, you better get rid of those properties. Can't you see what's going on around you? I said, girl, please, I am not messing my credit up.
Right. That's right.
But by the time I looked around, though, everybody, I said, I'm the only fool still standing around here with all these properties, and the tenant's not paying. I said, and the values are, less than half of what I owe on them, because I had a lot of mortgages. And I said, wow, it's 2010. And I kept hanging in here this long. I said, it's time for me to go ahead and let go. And I really was upset for doing it. But I went on hiatus. Right. And I came back around. And when I came back around to looking at myself, especially the credit, I'm like, it was way low. This is why I can relate to anybody's situation. And I never want anyone to be embarrassed about their situation, because it can always change. Right. I mean, who offers a group where you can fix your credit for free just for nothing? I'm not asking anybody for anything, because I know where I used to be. People might say, well, you've been successful all your life. Well, you know what? Not all the time.
I didn't understand that.
My phone is talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's like, "What you talking about? I want to learn."
These phones should not be listening to me. By the way, these phones
isn't that freaky?
Yeah. Real sneaky. Get out of here. But anyway, I was saying, you guys, that I can relate to anyone's situation, and I never want to, poke fun at anybody for having situations with the credit or whatever. But thank God that I became an expert at fixing credit myself. Thank God I knew how to get my husband's scores up in the 800s, so he was able to buy this condo for us here in Florida when I was afraid to look at my credit. And by the time I did look at it, because I was so skilled at it and wasn't really, I just knew that I wasn't going to be a scary cat and file bankruptcy like a lot of other people did when the market crashed. I just refused to do it. I just did this. I folded my arms and I said, well, I know what happens after 10 years. Do y'all know what happens after 10 years? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But a lot of that stuff goes away. So that's what I was banking on. I just sat back. I never filed bankruptcy. And I still was doing well, still making six figures, still buying properties and flipping them. I didn't have the real estate portfolio anymore, but I did, however, continue my real estate activities. And when the market crashed, I had to close my mortgage company. Then I came to the other side. I had relationships already. So that was my little cheat sheet.
Yeah.
The relationships that I had from being a mortgage broker that carried over to the real estate profession, which is why in 2009, I was able to obtain my realtor license. I walked into this brokerage, got signed up with them. I was the talk of the office. They're wondering, how does a brand new realtor walk in here with 10 listings? How is this? Everybody, especially all the white people, they were like, I'm turning in 10 real estate listings. People want me to sell their homes. But I had already been working with a bunch of investors. And I had a lot of clientele. And, most investors, they don't really like working with realtors that much. They started to see their value, but a lot of them back in the past would rather do things on their own. But I was doing a lot of the contracts then because they had for sale by owner contracts. So I knew what I was doing already. So it didn't hurt when I came over to the realtor side. And I did that for about 2.5, 3 years. And the next thing you know, I opened my real estate brokerage for Wisconsin and Milwaukee.
I just want to quick follow that up before you jump in, DLO. Because there's
I got a lot of questions.
I want to make sure that people are following. When you started, and I think sometimes this can be a barrier to entering any industry, especially when you're being entrepreneurial and being on your own, is you stated you were willing to ask folks questions about information that you didn't know. And I feel like sometimes that serves as a barrier that we don't want to let somebody else know we don't know. And sometimes that prevents us from really taking that next step. So, for you to be in those situations and say, and ask that loan officer, what is it you're doing to me, and knowing that they aren't doing a great job, and then to be able to say, oh, I can figure this out and I can do that. That's courageous. That is that next step of obtaining that information and that knowledge that you may not have at that point. So I definitely want to put that out to listeners that, it ain't a bad thing to don't know. You just got to go and get that information and get it any way you need to get it. Whether it's, like you said, learning, teaching yourself through the books, or going to somebody that has that knowledge and grabbing that knowledge so you can take that next step and take more control. So, I definitely just wanted to point that part out before moving forward. There's a lot of other things, but I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna let
it. I'm right there with you, Corey. Like the thing that stood out to me was when you shared that oil example, that all information ain't good information. Right. Just because it's out there doesn't mean that that's something that's valid. So you really need to do your own due diligence and figure out what's going on, and actually humble yourself and deflate your ego and be like, you know what, I need to learn something. This is something that I don't know. Which was kind of the reason why we started this whole podcast. Was like, look,
absolutely.
We wanted to have a ground zero approach, so people don't feel like they can't come and learn something when they go to this podcast, or we try to ask the questions that people are afraid to ask. Like for example, what is the difference between someone who's a realtor and someone who's a real estate broker, and how do you even go through that process? What kind of education do you need? Do we take a course that you provide, or is there a certain company that we need to go through? But then the way that you have it set up, you have other programs in place. So I would love if you could kind of lay out that process for people, because that's what you're doing. You're helping people and educating people. If you could lay out that process of how someone starts off, regardless of how their credit score is, then kind of morphs into this real estate field and industry.
Oh, those are great questions too, by the way, because a lot of people think just off top that, oh, they can't do it. When they don't know, you can have bad credit if you want to become a real estate professional, if you want to become a realtor. They don't really look at your credit. Now, I'll say becoming a LO, a loan officer, they do.
Okay.
But becoming a realtor, you do not. You do not have to have good credit. They don't check. Okay. And even just for the masses, and even some felons, if you're a felon, there's paperwork that you can also fill out prior to you even taking the courses. I forget the number of it, but if you're in Wisconsin, it's the Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services. There's a form. It's called a determination form for people, and they will have you. I believe you have to pay $68, and what they'll do is look into your background to make sure that whatever you did is not substantially related to the real estate profession. And if they can deem that appropriate enough for you to move forward, that will give you a cheat sheet into going straight and getting your license once you go through the course, pass the course and the exam. Then you won't have to go through any extra steps if you do that first before you even start. So that's very important for people to know. A lot of people are afraid to even try because of their backgrounds, and they look for certain types of things, dealing with fraud and embezzlement and things like that. Not so much crimes that are petty crimes, or and things like that. And sometimes there are crimes that they may try to shun you for and say you can't get a license. But I do have some people that actually got attorneys and fought back, and they are it's a few guys in Milwaukee that were out there in the streets, and they doing their thing right now in the real estate game, because each one teach one, and they actually taught each other what to do so that they could go to the same attorney, get it thrown out so they could get their real estate licenses.
Nice.
So with me, even though I didn't have any of those issues, the way that you become a realtor, you don't need any college education, although some people do go to a career college or a community college to get some real estate credits and maybe get an associate's degree. But you can take a 72-hour course in Wisconsin. And I offer the course, by the way. I am set up as a proctor, and I'm able to offer the online course to potential realtors. You are able to take it from home at your own pace. It's 72 hours. You have 6 months to complete it. It's a $350 price. And like I said, again, 6 months to complete it. And that's what allows you at the end, when you take a final exam, you're able to get a certificate and use that certificate to sit for the state board, the state exam. You need a 75 to pass to move on to get to the to taking your exam for the state. There are different rules for every state on what you need to do to become a real estate broker. And you asked me what the difference is. Because people still call me a realtor, and I kind of act funny a little bit.
Now you better recognize the title.
I want my title. Okay. So a real estate broker is someone who is eligible to open their own brokerage, their own real estate company. They have done the education and they have the requirements to become a broker. Okay. And when you become a broker, you're able to hire realtors to work under your brokerage. And that's pretty much the managing broker. And they are the owner of the company, CEO, however you want to call it. But there are some states that have a different setup, Illinois being one of them. Illinois, they have made everybody brokers, but they have different types of brokers. They have a managing broker. They have just a regular broker. They have a few different type of brokers. And in Wisconsin, you have to have at least 2 years under your belt to be able to become a real estate broker to start your own company. And on top of that, there's educational requirements that you have to do. So you will have to take another exam. I believe it's a 36. No, I think they took it up to 72 hours as well. It used to be 36, or it may be 72 hours too as well. You have to take an exam and a coursework and pass the real estate broker exam. And the other side of the coin is you need to be able to show the transactions that you've done. So what they're saying is you get certain number of points when you go to get your broker's license to see if you have met those experience requirements. Because if they don't feel like you've had enough experience or have done enough transactions, they may not issue it to you until you have that. So those are very important points for people wanting to, advance and become a real estate broker after the fact.
Nice. That's dope. I just love how, like, I could tell you are a teacher because you're like, you hit us with the numbers, the fact that you was like, I believe it's $68, like that's so specific. I just love it because it's really giving people the blueprint, right? Like that's like letting you see. And I do want to shout out like that felony information too, because that is such a hurdle for people, right? You can right away be like, I can't do that. I'm limited from these professional opportunities. So I love that you are sharing that with people. And that's just a fact. Like you said, without the knowledge, people perish. And that's a fact. And it's on purpose that a lot of that knowledge has been kept from our people for so long. And we won't even talk about how racist the entire justice system is to prevent us even once out from doing things. So just want to acknowledge that and love the things that you're dropping.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Do want to also acknowledge the fact that you are a Black woman doing this, right? In a very white dominated profession.
Oh my God.
Male dominated profession. So what are the challenges that come with being a woman doing this? And then what are some of the unique advantages that you have found, especially I would imagine within some of the relationship building and some of the other pieces that you have said are integral to the work?
Woo, where do I start? That's such a open-ended question. And I tell you, it has been a struggle. One thing I can tell you is, and this is going to probably hit everybody where it hurts, because what we all seem to have problems with, and it's not just me in my profession, it's all of us as a people. And some of us are whitewashed. We feel like that we don't know as much as the next person because they are the other color. That is a really big problem and a really big issue in our culture, thinking that someone else knows much more or they are looking out for their best interest more than we are, when we are the ones that are a lot more creative and we have a lot more information to provide, and we can kind of help them along and make things a little bit easier for them. But when I first started, one of my biggest challenges is my own people not really supporting me from the beginning. And that's sad to say, my own people, whether it be friends, family. And I'm not saying that because we're Black that we should do business with one another. That's not what I'm trying to say. Back to the research part. Talk to people, look at their backgrounds, do your research and find out about those people before you come to them to start doing business, because there's a way that you can offend people by coming to them and treating them like they're a criminal when you start to try to do business with them, when you should have done your homework before you reached out to them to do business with them. And I say that stuff like that on my page a lot. I'm a very outspoken person. I don't let nobody get away with nothing. I tell everybody like it is. I don't play. I let people know off top. Don't come to me wasting my time, because My time is very valuable. I'm going to give you some valuable information. A lot of times I'm always giving up more than I receive, but at the same time, I'm blessed and highly favored that I get a lot of business and I don't have to pay for any marketing. I don't have to go and pay for leads or any of that because I've actually been doing this 18 years. I've been in this arena 18 years.
Wow.
When you get to a level where people are looking you up on Google and telling you that they read all about me because they were looking for a Black real estate broker to work with, then you know you've done something right. Oh, I see your name everywhere. Well, yeah, I typed in the name of a Black real estate broker in Georgia, and you were the first one that popped up. People are reaching out to me for that. Those are some of the pros, but some of the cons are that I look like a little girl to people. You know, I go to a closing. People are asking me, am I the buyer or am I the seller's child or am I the buyer's child? And they not thinking that I'm the actual owner of the company. And a lot of people seem to think that, you know, it's not me, or they just cannot believe what I have done thus far. They cannot believe that, you know, as of 2018 up until now that I've actually gotten back up to 40 doors in real estate. I have a portfolio that is almost about, I want to say probably about 4 million in real estate. And this time around, I did things a little differently. So the majority of my portfolio is paid for free and clear. I have a big mix of single families, duplexes. I have a 4-plex. I have a 3-plex. I have condos. I have land in Florida. So when I tell you that those have been some of my struggles, is my own people not being supportive, and of course friends and family using somebody else. You know, people get jealous. There's a lot of hate out there. You can't be a little wuss, and you can't go in the corner and cry about it. And if you do go in the corner and cry, don't stay in the corner crying for too long. You got to come up out of that corner, dry your eyes, and get your hands back dirty and get back to work. Because being a crybaby is not going to get anything done, and it's not going to make you any money being a crybaby.
Right.
Amen.
100%.
So I want to clarify for the listeners too. So 40 doors. When you say doors, you said doors a couple times. You talking about people that doors that you're collecting rent from.
Exactly. Each unit pays some rent, and I don't have any mortgages. I mean, look at somebody that didn't have any doors, and come 2018, I just decided, you know, hey, it's time for me to jump back into this rental game after having 50 doors that I liquidated that 10 years ago, and all of a sudden 2018 comes, because that was in 2008 when everything crashed. 2018, I said, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and get back in the game. But how I started back off into the game was by me picking up a seller finance deal. Seller finance deal. And what happened was someone referred me, another real estate professional referred me to someone, because they know that I do property management. And this guy was out of California, and he buys distressed mortgage notes. That's a whole different animal. Distressed mortgage notes. He foreclosed on a distressed mortgage note. And once he foreclosed on it, he ended up owning the property. He enlisted and hired me and my husband to rehab the property for him. And we did that. And then after that, we put somebody in there. This is a big no-no. Sometimes you cannot, and I mean, you cannot work with family or friends, close friends. So that's what I did. Made a big boo-boo, put, you know, some friends of mine, friends of the family that we knew into the property. For 4 months, everything was just gravy. Both units, it was a duplex, 2 up and 2 down. Put them in there. 4 months later, then all of a sudden, crickets. No rent. I'm like, okay, you know what? Get out. Before I evict you off. Get out. They didn't want the eviction on their name, so I didn't have trouble with them really leaving. I had trouble with them trying to come back because they thought nobody was there. But we ran them up out of there. And that kind of left a bad taste in my investor's mouth. And he said, you know, Tamario, I want you to just put this on the MLS. And I want you to do a seller finance deal. And he said, I said, oh, really? I said, okay, well, what price do you want for it? He said, $59,000. I said, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. I said, how much do you want down? He said, oh, $5,000. I said, oh, okay, really? I said, well, what is that going to cost somebody monthly to do this deal? I mean, what are you going to want as far as monthly payment? He said, about around $650 or something like that. I said, oh, yeah. I said, hey, I said, this deal is not going on the MLS. So I took the deal for myself, and I still have that property. It's on a very popular side of town in Milwaukee. It's a brick duplex, and as we speak today, not even that much longer, the property is worth roughly about $160,000. I think I owe about $38,000 on it. So, like I said, I don't have any mortgages, but this is a seller finance deal, and people are concerned about interest rates. That's something that we need to look at. I'm going to make a very important point about interest rates, and it's very simple. Can you make the payment? Is the question. Is that payment around the same as your rent, or maybe just a smidge more? Because my interest rate on this seller finance deal is 9.99, and I never even refinanced. You want to know why? Because I've been too busy. Anyway, it's about 110, 120,000 worth of equity in the property. I can refinance it at any time and do what's called a rate and term refinance and get my rate down some. It's going to be lower than 9.99 for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I have not done that. But I'm cash flowing on the property. I'm getting 800 up and 800 down. The notice is $650 a month, $658 a month. I'm still doing well with the property. When people start getting into it and they start complaining about interest rates, number one, for investments, are you going to cash flow? If you are, and it's a decent amount of money that you're comfortable with cash flowing, great, take the deal. If you're buying a home and you paying $1,500 in rent and your interest rate might be 6.5, and you buying a house and your mortgage note is around the same as your rent, that's a no-brainer. People complain about the rates all the time, and they shouldn't be doing that. That's just my take on it.
Another thing that I've seen, and you kind of I mentioned it, but not directly when you said rehab. There's all these shows now on TV where you see these folks.
I love them. I turn on HGTV and I'll lose a day.
I got $50,000 on.
I love them.
You know what I'm saying?
They transform them, and they look absolutely beautiful. And then they tell you, "Oh, we made this profit margin on this home." So I'm hearing all these conversations of, "Oh, that's what we should be doing. Why are we not doing that?" So my question to kind of bring what people are seeing on TV into more of a reality. Let's say we had a few people that went through and got that education and were in position to possibly purchase or rehab a residence. One, the thing they never show you is the process of choosing what home that you may want to get into in rehab. Like with stocks, we have people talk about stocks. There's an evaluation process that you go through when you're looking at a company and you're doing research and all those things on it to say, hey, this is something that could possibly be profitable. We want to make our investment here. What are some of those things that people need to be aware of when trying to evaluate a residence that they either, whether it is a single family or a duplex, in which they may say, hey, we do want to purchase this. It may need some work. We may need to put some work in it and then try to put up for resale. What are those, what are those evaluation things they need to know? And what are those steps that folks are not seeing on television?
Ooh, it's a lot. Because I mean, this is for show. This is real TV, and they've all told me, "Come on, let's go." But you know why I won't come on, let's go? Because I want to show us getting down right dirty and down to the nitty gritty, like what you're talking about.
Right.
They don't tell all of that, and I feel like that's unfair, and they wanted me to get on and show how I'm helping celebrities. No, I want to show how I'm helping my real people who thought they never could qualify to buy a home, how I helped them get their credit scores up, and how I went into communities and made them better and made living arrangements better for everybody. I mean, part of the problem is people are looking at what's going on TV and they're thinking they can go out and do it, but they don't have the necessary tools to be able to do it. And they think that they know what they're doing, and then they end up in a situation upside down or whatever, or it doesn't work for them, or they get into some kind of pickle. So the first beginning is, if you brand spanking new, you need to get all of the education and information that you can before you start trying to jump off in it, being real excited about watching HGTV.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way to go, because again, that's all for show.
Yeah.
Right.
But back to the analyzing of the properties, you need to know what you're getting yourself into, and you have to have a team in place to be able to do that. Key word, have a team. And because you can't do all of this by yourself. And what I mean when I say your team is, you need to have, number one, your real estate professional. And I'm going to come back to that. Your real estate professional, your title company, your contractors, your insurance people, your inspector. You got to have all these people lined up. That's part of that team that you need before you even get started. And most importantly, your lender. What type of lender are you going to use if you're not going to pay cash for the property? Right. You need to understand what ARV means, cap rate. It's a bunch of vocabulary that you need to familiarize yourself with and understand what those things mean. ARV means after repair value. What is going to be the after repair value? Sometimes they need to know what the after repair value is when a lender is lending money to you, because they want to make sure that they're lending on sufficient collateral for the loan. If they feel like that your deal is BS, they're not going to give you a loan on a property that they feel like that is not a good deal for you, because that could potentially put them in a situation for letting you get money on a deal that will not materialize. Making sure that you are picking up properties. If you're doing buy and hold, we need to know why you're doing this buy and hold. Are you doing this buy and hold because you're looking for equity? Or are you doing this buy and hold because you're just looking for cash flow? There are a lot of people that don't care about appreciation. Appreciation is when the value goes up on the properties. For some people like me, who has an eye for this and been doing this 18 years, I look for both. Not all the time do you have both, but for the majority of my deals, I have both appreciation and I have cash flow. Those are for the buy and hold properties. There's plenty of investors that say, hey, I don't care about the appreciation. I want to make sure that I'm getting a certain cash flow. If I can't make $500 a month on this property when I buy it, then I don't want it. Hey, if I can't clear 25 or 30,000 when I do this flip, then that's just too much work to go through to try to do this. So you got to make sure that you have those repair estimates done. Make sure that your contractors are going to get your estimates ready, so you can know how much you're going to be into it for. And then this is something big that people don't do when they're doing flips. You have to put a little bit of extra money to the side as reserves. And why would you do that? Because you never know if there's going to be some unforeseen circumstances that come up that wasn't in that budget that you put together. That guy might have put a budget of $21,500 together for everything that needs to be done. But then all of a sudden, y'all found a pipe that broke underground that you didn't plan for. And these are things that people aren't thinking about when they're trying to stretch themselves too thin, getting into these rehab positions. And then I got to tell y'all a quick story. I'm going to try to make it really, really quick. But I just turned down a deal today, and I've been working with this guy for the last few days. It came to me. I was ready to do this deal. This is part of the due diligence. And again, this is part of what you were just asking me about. That due diligence. What are the steps? See, anybody else would have looked at the deal. I looked up the ARV. Oh yeah, this ARV good. Woo, 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 you know, he's in foreclosure because his partner. Got to be careful about those partners now.
Right.
Something. Look, I be doing stuff by myself. I mean, y'all can do stuff with partners if you want to, but look. This partner of his ran off with the money.
Oh wow.
So they said, you know what? You got to have $34,000 something in my office today. I'm not giving you an extension. I was ready to do the deal today, you guys, but Tamario did her due diligence. I had my title company run title on the property. Boom.
Yep.
Some bankruptcy from a prior owner shows up. So they took the property subject to, and there's, a creative financing term called subject to. I've taken property subject to as well, but you have to do your due diligence. This property has an open bankruptcy on it. I already knew about the foreclosure. They're fine with the foreclosure. They could have paid the mortgage off, but people, I'm telling you, there was an open bankruptcy on it. You needed to get permission from the trustee to actually force the sale to get the property out of the bankruptcy to do this. And so pretty much my title company said, no go. I was ready to go to the bank, wire my funds. Great property, great side of town. They had already gutted it, put a roof on, but that's as far as it got. So these are the things that you're talking about that people need to be aware of. If you get a partner, you better make for damn sure that you have a separation agreement. Make sure you got a good real estate attorney on deck to look at things if you don't know what to look for. Me, I'm so skilled at this that I really should have and could have become an attorney myself. People kept saying that, but I said, I don't want to go to school no more. Forget that. Anyway, I said, you have to make sure your bases are covered. You cannot, you can't even, you work for working with a real estate professional. Yes, they're supposed to look out for your best interest, but there's something called buyer beware. Caveat emptor. You still have a responsibility to look out for you. And you are also supposed to be asking the right questions. I don't care if it's a rehab deal, your first time. Don't be afraid to ask questions. That's what's wrong with a lot of us. We're afraid to ask questions. You know what? Listen, if you don't know the answer, do your own research and keep asking until you find that answer. I'm a firm believer that if somebody act funny with me when they ask me a question, I'll be saying to myself, well, you know what? I'm find this answer myself.
Yeah, me too.
I'm gonna find this answer. If you don't want to give it to me, somebody else will. Otherwise, I will look it up myself and I will research until I find the answer.
I don't think I heard any of those terms.
Yeah, I'm
straight learning.
I was just about to say,
I'm straight learning.
listeners out there,
Man,
who are listening to this podcast,
I hope they are
right
taking
now.
notes because most people won't even tell nobody nothing because they too afraid of somebody getting up here and up here.
Right.
I'm willing to take everybody with me because it seems like the more that I give, the more that I get. Right. And I wasn't put on this earth to not share my gift with others. And that's why I'm so blessed.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I still get rejected, but you know what? Sometimes that rejection is God's protection. Don't make me start preaching up here now. Right. Sometimes it is because sometimes some people, they're not meant for you to work with anyway. Yeah. And some people can be too difficult, and you're not going to please everybody in this business. Everybody is not going to always be happy. There is going to be difficult people you have to deal with. And we need to just learn how to stick and move. Do what you need to do. And if things don't work out well, learn how to part ways as friends and go in separate directions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I want to repeat, y'all need to hit rewind. If you're on YouTube, click on the little thing to go back for like the last 5 to 10 minutes, because there's a lot of terms. You basically laid out the whole team and what the team does and why the team should be in place. So
squad.
With that being said, can you can you tell us about your programs that people can get involved and learn from you, because you have quite a few of them related to real estate?
So what I'm trying to do is pretty much recruit a squad of people to first become a home owner. There are so many people out there. You don't know how many people I see complaining all the time about what their landlord ain't done. Well, my landlord won't do this. My landlord won't do that. And da, 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 da. But they won't take the steps to do what they need to do to become a homeowner themselves. And everybody is quick to say, well, I don't have the money for the down payment. And you know what? There are so many of you out there, and I'm not trying to point the finger at just one person. I'm just trying to say this. It's a whole bunch of people out there buying wigs. You buying clothes, buying Michael Kors purses. You getting lace front wigs. You getting your nails done. And you need to start saving a little bit of money. When you stop the smoking and drinking and start putting your money to the side, you'll be able to come up with a little bit of money for you to use to buy these houses. And one reason why I need to point this out is because that's the excuse a lot of them use, that they can't save. But there are so many programs out there that have grants available for people if they are able to get their scores up to a 620 middle credit score. One of my clients just left the table. She came to the table with, I think, $627. The other one came to the table with $1,000, or I think she ended up with a check back in her hand. She got so much money from those grants until, and I asked the seller to help pay for the closing costs. That's another way that you end up bringing less to the table. So she got so many grants that we were able to actually tell the seller, hey, we don't even need your seller credit anymore. But I went on the side and told them, hey, there were some things from the inspection that she wanted, to have fixed, and you didn't get them done. I said, so why don't y'all split that down the middle and you go ahead and give some of that money to a contract, not back to her, because buyers can't have cash back at closing, but you can get the seller to write a check out to a contractor on the side, and then that money can be there for them to do what they need to do in the home that they want it done.
That's slick. I like that. That's slick right there. I like that.
This is what I wanted to bring up. People who they just don't believe that they can become homeowners. Here is why you should not think that way. Because if you paying rent and you paying it on time every month, you can pay a mortgage. You're going to pay somebody's mortgage.
Right.
It's either yours or the landlord's. Why not let it be yours? You're never going to build any equity by being a renter. What is that equity doing for you? What is equity anyway? Equity is the difference between the property value and what you owe on the house. So as the years progress, I'll give you an example. My husband purchased our condo in Florida. It's a villa. It looks more like a house. It's really not like it's a one level. And he purchased this place for about, you're not gonna believe this, $144,000. I just looked at the value today. The value is Florida.
144.
Okay.
$144,000, 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, new construction in 2019. What? Yes.
What?
I do things that people don't think about doing, you guys. One thing that has helped me in my career is being very spontaneous. So one day I decided back in 2008 when I was balling.
She said was.
I was. I said, I want a vacation home in Florida. So I went on some foreclosure website called realtybid.com. I clicked on that button and saw a place in Florida, and the market had crashed. $28,000, y'all. Click. I clicked the button. Never been to the place before in my life. Didn't go to see the place in person. I don't recommend this for everybody.
Yeah.
I clicked the button and said, well, I'm just gonna go down there and close on the place. And Place was Fort Myers, Florida. I've been frequenting this area since 2008, and we ended up buying in an area that was up and coming. You know what they say about places that are up and coming, but I'll leave that alone right there. But we're in an area that really has a lot of land, and it has come around and it has gotten very expensive here. So I looked at the value today. The values in this area is all the way up to $272,000. We bought this property for $144,000, probably owe about $130 something. So we have amassed over $120,000 worth of equity. What can you do with that? You can go back to the bank. You can do what's called a cash out refinance. They have an appraiser come out to your house, and they are able to give you some money out of the house that you can do whatever you want with it. But the part of it is you don't want to be a fool with it. You don't want to go out buying. Listen, you don't want to go out buying everything that's not going to bring some money back into you. You can start a business with the money. You can go and buy additional properties with the money. That's what I did with my first home. When I got that cash back, I used it for down payments for additional rental properties. And before it was over, I ended up with 50 doors of real estate. But what I'm saying to you is I did this spontaneously. I got this place and I ended up selling it in 14. Some crazy stuff happened with it. Then I went and bought a house in Georgia. So I do own properties in Georgia, Florida, and Wisconsin. The bulk of my properties are in Wisconsin.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. Can you talk a little bit about, like, because I haven't met too many folks. I know a lot of people who do real estate, but I haven't met a lot of folks who have so many different states where they're selling properties and stuff. So can you talk a little bit about that? I assume, I don't know, just assuming you need licensing in those different states. So how does that work? How does that look? And I also feel like that would be kind of appealing because I'm someone who doesn't want to live in Wisconsin forever, but being able to work with somebody I know, right, who can do it in that state might be cool. So can you break down how you're able to get those states, what it takes for folks to do that?
That's a great question. And, you know, I get asked that a lot, and people are trying to figure out how I'm doing, what I'm doing. And, you know, I do need to tell you this, that I'm one of the people that, you know, some people laughed at. They thought it was a game and thought it was a joke because I have these 4 real estate companies, yes. But they were laughing because I don't have any brick and mortar buildings. And I bet you can only think about what took place during the pandemic. I was already ready. Yep. So who got the last laugh? Ha, ha, ha. I was already ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I have been wanting to change of pace out of Wisconsin because I just was tired of the cold, number one. I was really tired of the cold. And I started looking up other states. I mean, I kept hearing about Atlanta and, you know, it is a big old hype. I mean, I like it, but, you know, been there, done that. You know, I'm cool on Georgia. The prices are way up there and everything. We got a property for $40,000 down there. It's probably worth about $260 now. Don't have a mortgage on it. You know, listen, it's plenty of real estate that I don't have any mortgages on. The primary residence that my husband has. And the whole thing is you got to look at the requirements for each state. I'll be totally honest with anyone. If they're listening and they're already a real estate professional, here's a little cheat sheet for you. Georgia has no requirements. A lot of people don't know that, or they've never taken the time to look this up. If you are already a realtor or a real estate broker in another state, they have reciprocity with every state.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Georgia has reciprocity with every state. So if you come from Wisconsin, you just give them your certificate of good standing. You pay all of your fees. You get your background check done. You do everything that's needed, and you don't have to take any education. You don't have to take any exams. Nothing.
Nice.
So when it's time for continuing education, because we have to take continuing education to keep our licenses up.
Right.
All I have to do is prove to them that I've done what I needed to do for Wisconsin, and they just squash it. That's it. That was one of the main reasons why I chose Georgia to start in first. And yeah, I'm crazy. I started 2 real estate companies within 3 months of each other. First, it was Wisconsin. 3 months later, it was Georgia. And, you know, the articles are out there. Meet the CEO who opened 4 real estate companies within 6 years. And that's one of the articles that's out there on Google that you could look up or whatever. I was in blacknews.com, a whole bunch of other tabloids out there. All you got to do is type my name on Google and you find Elon Musk, Grant Cardone, Jeff Bezos, Oprah, Cardi B, Rihanna, and more. I mean, it's crazy that people they want the information on how I have done what I have done, but it's really been through me reading and doing research. Florida was a hard nut to crack. Florida does not like for you to come from anywhere else. They do have reciprocity with Georgia. Some of the states, when you have reciprocity with them, they may require you to take a 40-question state exam. It's called a state-specific portion of the exam. For example, you know, Georgia and North Carolina, Georgia and Alabama, you might take a 20 to 40 question state-specific course, and then you can and then you can get licensed there. But Florida, no, they. I had to do everything. I had to go from scratch. They didn't care about me being a broker. They didn't care about all my experience. You gonna take this coursework. You gonna take this exam at the end, and you're gonna take the state exam. I had to do everything from scratch with Florida. Lots of other states are a lot more stringent and difficult. Some of the most difficult places are Nevada, California, Arizona, Texas. Texas, I heard, has loosened up a little bit, but those are not places that I really wanted to do. California is intriguing. I started it and didn't finish it, but because I had gotten so busy. But I have a lot of clientele out of California, and I'll explain why in a minute. Well, I explain now. They want to invest in real estate, but the barrier of entry is so wide, it's so large. They can't. Most people can't even buy a house there. Yeah, because it's too expensive.
Prices is crazy. Yeah.
So when they find out how cheap it is in Wisconsin, one lady said, "Oh, I got pre-approved for $550,000." She said, "But I'm not buying a property here when I can come to Wisconsin where you are and buy 7 duplexes for that same amount, and it could be paying me."
Right.
Do you hear what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Why would you try to buy one house that you won't be getting paid on for $550,000? You can't buy a multifamily for that in California that I know of. And if you do, it's all boarded up. You got to rehab it and make it into something.
Right. Yeah.
You know, little 2-bedroom houses are $1.5 million in a lot of places, even in the not so great areas. So they look at Milwaukee and they like, damn, 50,000, what? And the rent is what? 1,300. How is that? It's because everyone is looking at the fact that those numbers are smaller and their money goes much further.
Yeah.
So that would be the reason. I looked at and as far as the migration goes, I started watching it. I started looking at how a lot of Wisconsinites love Georgia. I started looking at how a lot of Wisconsinites they love Florida because it's cold. I saw a lot of snowbirds coming back and forth, and I just saw where people out of Illinois, same thing. All you see is Illinois place in Georgia. You see a lot of Illinois place in Wisconsin. You see a lot of Illinois place in Florida. All of those are round robin places that they all just circulate around each other. I said, well, hey, I get my flights out of O'Hare Airport a lot. I said, hey, I can get licensed here. When I land, you know, I can drive on home. I can go right next door and do some business next door. There's a lot of people that commute from Illinois coming to Wisconsin to work and vice versa. There's a lot of people that move from Georgia to Florida. A lot of people that move from Florida to Georgia. So I put it all together. I watch the migration patterns.
Yeah. That's brilliant. That's brilliant as hell. I love that.
Thank you.
You're so right about that. You're so right about that.
Thank
you. That's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Man, I really have appreciated how you've put everything out there in a way that's digestible, in a way that's like, okay, I can see the steps, and it's not like this. It doesn't look like this big mountain.
Yeah.
So I know for anybody that has listened to either the majority or this or the full duration, it's like you've turned that mountain into a little hill now. And it's like the work still got to be done. You still got to, get the education and everything, but it just doesn't seem so, I guess, insurmountable as it did before. At least from my perspective of looking at it, being intrigued by it, but hearing how you've broken it down has just made so much sense. So I have to first thank you for that. The question I want to ask is kind of, I wanted to pick your brain about where real estate is moving and trending right now. A lot of things that, at least that I've heard or read, is that, is there a housing shortage? We've seen in Wisconsin where prices have gone up in many areas, and especially out where I'm at, houses just haven't been on the market for a very long time. So I just kind of wanted to pick your brain for people that may say, hey, I'm on my way to getting that license and getting my education done. I'm going to be entering this market possibly at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. What are some of the trends or some of the things that you've seen in the housing market right now, especially with other people saying we may be heading towards a recession?
So here's the thing. Don't worry about what everybody else is saying and doing. And the reason is because you can't really compare yourself to anybody else. A lot of people will tell you a lot of different things, but everybody's experience just won't be the same. If you know that you want this, you want to go get your license, you can be successful in any market. I used to look at a lot of agents too and say to myself, oh my goodness, they're really hurting and they're not doing well in this market where a lot of agents slow down. I'm still busy as hell. They wonder, how you still doing all of these deals when this, that, and the other is going on?
Right.
And it's because I never stop learning. And you have to make sure that you use an eclectic approach as it relates to real estate. You need to be cross-trained. You need to know how to do a little bit of everything. I am not one of those people that will always say to myself that I need to find one good thing and be really good at it. To me, that's the worst type of advice that you could ever give someone, because you can't put all of your eggs in one basket. So I made sure when I left that teaching field to make sure that whatever I was doing was enough income to make me satisfied. And if that wasn't coming together, I had something else to fall back on. If that's not coming together, I got this to fall back on. If that's not coming together, until before I knew it, I looked up and I got about 20 plus income streams. I'm going to make sure that I win.
Right.
Because I don't want to go back to a 9-to-5. That's what it's about. I don't want to go and work for anyone anymore. So with that being said, like you said, this has got to work.
Right.
And so with that being said, people need to just, I'm going to say this, even if you get into real estate and you want to drive for Uber or Lyft, there's plenty of real estate professionals that got into business and they wanted to have additional income streams because they knew that getting into the business is kind of tough to get started. And with that being said, you can do other things, whether it's real estate related or not. I'm just one that chooses to do real estate related activities that closely match, what I do. But there's other things you can do, other businesses you can open up. People have t-shirt businesses. They have they cook on the side. They have catering businesses, event halls, all types of things that they do. And so when the deal falls apart, you won't be counting on that money, but you got other income streams coming in. That is the kicker. That's the key. Yeah. And I think a lot of real estate professionals, they miss that. They are so big on trying to deal with buyers and sellers, and they have a one-track mind, and they only looking ahead. They're not looking to the sides, or they're not turning around looking, and they're not doing anything else other than that. So with that being said, nobody should be afraid to get in real estate. Don't you know when there's a recession, that's the time when the most millionaires are being made?
Yep.
That's when the most opportunity comes along. Because guess what? The best deals are going to eventually come. There's still a shortage of housing, just like you said, Corey. There's a shortage of houses still. And I was looking on the news the other day, and they said that there was we're 2 million workers short. We're 2 million, more than 2 million houses.
Yeah, I read that too.
Yeah. We don't have enough builders to go around. There's 20% of women who have started to get into the construction industry because we don't have enough laborers. So if anybody is listening and you're wondering what should you do next, or if you should whether you should go to college or you should take up a trade, you better get yourself into being an electrician, a plumber, get into real estate construction. Do your best to try to connect and rub elbows with the right people to become an appraiser. We lack appraisers who are Black appraisers in the field. I'm really eyeing towards trying to improve that situation. I mean, do something that nobody else did. Have a African-American appraiser school. There's not enough Black appraisers out there, and you know that we're being disproportionately singled out, and we're always getting discriminated against with our appraisals and our property values. So this is so important for us to do. College is not for everybody. I'm not downing anybody that did not go to college, because there are so many different trades that you can do that are real estate related that can actually help you to make six figures. A lot of people are opening cleaning companies, construction companies. You can still make six figures by being a painter.
Yep, that's right.
Good money. Cleaners make good money. They go in a house and it might cost $500 or $600 to clean up a house.
Yep.
So what I'm trying to let people know today is that if you want to start a business on your own and let your job that you're working fund that business until you decide to leave, and make sure that you have enough money saved, because that's the big picture. I know some people step out on faith and say, hey, I'm gonna let God do this and God handle this, but God also wants you to be prepared. Okay, have enough money saved. Right. I would say at least $10,000 before you quit your job and you start running a business, because especially within the real estate profession, sometimes it takes long for you to get your first transaction closed. And, I know a lot of people are afraid of that, but that's where the extra income streams come in to supplement for that.
Nice. I'm still, man.
There's
so much process.
We need a part 2, y'all.
We do. We really
I feel like we do need a part 2. We do need a part 2 because the sun going down. I'm like, man, I still want to stay on here and talk for 2-3 hours.
Yeah. Hella gems.
Would you be
willing
all
night long? Look, I could talk all night long.
Would you be willing to come on to do a part 2 at a later date?
That's fine with me. I love it because I love educating the masses. I always say the stuff that other people are afraid to say. I always give out other information that people are afraid to give out. I'm not afraid for you to join my group, Tamario's Credit Clinic. All of the real deal is in there. It's a bunch of people in there that tell you that they had a 442 credit score in there, and now they're in the 600s and they're ready to get financed. And guess what? I'll be the first to admit when I had to close my mortgage company, I had a score on the 4s too. But hey, hell, I'm 760 now. So you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't have nothing to complain about. Ain't nothing on there.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest though, I'm still getting denied for a lot of things too, you know.
Wow.
And one of the reasons I'm still getting denied is because I have what's called thin credit.
Okay.
I have thin credit because I don't have any mortgages. I told you.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saving that. I'm saving that now. I'm saving that for prior two.
Okay. Okay. You know we about to go in on that one. Like, all right, okay.
If you don't call me back for prior two, you would never know why I don't have no mortgage. I ain't gonna even get into that because it'll take too long. We'll be here a whole nother hour talking. So just do prior two, and I'll talk to y'all about how I did what I did, and you know, perhaps maybe we can make some more millionaires doing that, because I do coach, mentor, and train real estate investors. And I start you off by you buying your first home and you actually house hacking. What is that? It's when you get a multifamily, a 2 to 4 unit, and you can do that on your first house. You probably didn't know that, but you can, with an FHA loan, get a 2 to 4 unit home. Think about that. You live in 1 unit. If you in a 4 unit, you get 3 more tenants in there.
Right.
One of the tenants pays the mortgage, or at least the majority of it. Or actually, the tenants pay all of it. You get to live for free, and then you banking the rest of that money. You saving the rest of that money, and now you moving on to another property in a year. Move out, get you another one. Move out every year, get you another one. That is the cheat sheet and the quick way for you to build up a bunch of doors in several years.
Definitely need a part two.
We definitely gotta go into your programs and how, you know what I'm saying, like how, number one, people can sign up to them, where they can find them.
Okay, you know, so I got these links over here, and I hope that Corey has them over here in this area to the right. I have one group on Facebook called the 6-Month Home Buying Challenge. And I had asked my Facebook page today. It's only 4 months left in the year. And again, don't forget about the equity that you're missing when you're renting, because it's going down. I'm sorry, it's the equivalent of you flushing your money down the toilet. Go ahead and take a pen and paper and just look at all of the money that you've been spending over the years by renting. And you can cut back on some things, save so you can buy. You got the 6-Month Home Buying Challenge. You got the Tamario's Credit Clinic. You got Top Women in Real Estate. And I got the Burr Method. Everything real estate related in there. If you want to invest, that Burr group is the one where you talk about real estate investing in there. I drop a lot of TikTok videos in there. The credit group, if you know you have bad credit and you want to buy a house, I'm helping everybody in all 50 states. And people are like, well, wait a minute, you only licensed in 4 states. How you helping everybody? I'll give you this last gem here. I ain't gonna keep telling y'all too much, because I told you it's gonna be a part 2 now. For any real estate professionals, you are supposed to be willing to help anybody do this. Why? Why are you helping all those people when you're not even licensed in those places? Well, there's something called a referral fee. And so if I'm working with Jane Doe and she's in Texas and I help her with her credit, get her pre-approved, get her ready to go. Well, I got a Facebook group called Top Women in Real Estate with almost 15,000 ladies in there. It's a lot of real estate professionals in there. All I have to do is pick one, fill out the paperwork for a referral, give that person to that person. And when that person finds a home, buys or sells a home, I'll get a 25% referral fee for referring that person. I don't miss no beat.
Right.
I don't miss no beat. I just keep it going. I don't miss a beat.
Nice.
These real estate professionals don't seem to understand all the different ways that you can create multiple income streams in this, and all it is name dropping, helping somebody get pre-approved and ready to go. And now you have a backup person there in that state that you can pass them on to, where you're not licensed and you still collecting checks.
Do you, by chance, do you have a book recommendation in which folks can kind of see if this process or this is something for them? Do you have any book that helps you out, or something that you recommend that's based upon real estate that you feel folks should check out or read?
I have some digital courses that I'm coming out with. I'm hoping to do it by the end of the year. I keep on saying I'm going to do it, but you know how it is. It's only 24 hours in a day. Sometimes I wish it was 36. But I have so many other projects that I'm working on. They're going to be digital courses and things like that. But the most recent thing that I've done is I've created an ebook, and people have been paying for it off my page. It's $99, and it's called Out of State Investing for Beginners. Out of State Investing for Beginners. And that is teaching people who are in other states or even other cities, because I'm gonna be honest. Now, Madison is pretty expensive. You cannot get the same prices in Milwaukee that you have in Madison, and vice versa. The prices are much cheaper in Milwaukee than they are in Madison. So if someone out of Madison said, my money just won't stretch that far, I'd like to try to check out Milwaukee. Well, listen, this lady Tamario that was on this podcast, she's out of Milwaukee. I got a few dollars. Go ahead and hold down.
Yeah.
Right. Work with her. So in part 2, I'll talk about my one-stop shop concierge service. I'll talk about what all I do in my business on a daily basis. I could go on, and this is all impromptu, because when you know something about a subject and you've been doing it as long as I have, this was not rehearsed. This was all off the top of my head. I can do this in my sleep, y'all. So out of state investing for beginners.
Perfect.
Cool.
Y'all heard it here first. So make sure you get that ebook. Make sure you hit those websites up. For those that are viewing this, through the live stream or on our YouTube and whatnot, all those links will be in the description, and the group links will be in the description. So make sure you click on those links. Make sure you introduce yourself and say hello, and and let them know, where you got this information. So we appreciate you so much for spending this time with us, and as busy as you are and everything you got going on, and taking time out to share this not only with us but with our audience.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We are forever grateful. For people that are going to say, hey, I need to rewind that back, just to let you know, you can hit up our link tree at Black Currency Podcast. I will have links to every single outlet we have podcast-wise, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever it may be. This video will be on Spotify now. We've now replaced our audio with video on Spotify, so make sure to check that out. We love to do clips, so you'll see some of the outtakes on the IG, and some of those outtakes on our YouTube as well. I want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in. Tomorrow, I want to get it right. Tomorrow, I want to also thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of this. And y'all heard it here. There is going to be a part 2.
Thanks.
So we're going to make sure to connect. We're going to make sure to advertise that. And we're going to get even deeper into this subject.
Absolutely. And do not forget to follow my personal Facebook page. I do have a digital creator page. My regular Facebook page, I got a lot of followers, almost 10,000 followers on my personal page, but I am on LinkedIn too as well. If that link, I don't recall putting that link there, but I'm on YouTube. I have other podcasts there. You can Google me, find me on blacknews.com. Several articles there. And if you need me for anything, I'll be happy to help you get started on your home buying journey. The process, if you want to become an investor, want to do a cash out refinance. The second part, I'll talk about the private lending. You see how many things we missed? Yeah, this is her super show. We gotta do it, y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate you having me on here on your show. I'd like to come back, and if you ever want me as a regular on here, I'll have different topics to talk about. I've done that before, and so many people out of Madison, especially the Black community, needs to hear this because there's not enough correct information going around for our people to listen to and understand that they can do this too.
100%.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. And
all right, y'all.
I'm excited for part 2.
Yes,
okay.
thank you.
I appreciate you all.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.
All right, bye.
Ain't you sick of giving me your money?
Oh, it's. Oh. I know he didn't do it, baby.
Whoa, where you going?
No, I'm about to go make these drop balls.